So what do we need to do? We continue to support Ukraine. We continue to put pressure on Russia. That's the only way in which we can get a deal. This week will be important. There's Moscow today, and then there'll be Ukrainian, Russian, and American national security advisors or negotiators in the Arab Emirates for 2 days after that. So, have faith. Ukraine is going to win this war. And if you look at it from a military perspective, what is going on right now is remarkable. Not only is Ukraine holding forward, the advancement of Russian forces is less than a percentage point in the past 2 years, so, of territory. So what was acquired was kind of acquired from 2014 to before the war began. I mean, it's a really slow war of attrition. And the cost of that, just to Russia in December, 34,000 dead soldiers. So for what? For claiming that you took Kupiansk when you didn't, and you claim it twice, and you didn't twice?
This is my video update on this Friday afternoon, January the 23rd, coming to you from Larnaca, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the late night meeting in the Kremlin between Russian President Putin, presidential aide Ushakov, Dmitriev, and Witkoff, Kushner, and Josh. Josh showed up in the Kremlin. A new guy is now showing up in the Kremlin on the American team. So we're now at how many meetings in the Kremlin between Putin and Witkoff? 7 or 8. All of these meetings take place late at night. They last for 3, 4, 5 hours, and they pretty much go nowhere. At least that's how it seems. You don't really see much progress from these meetings. But we had another one. Witkoff, Kushner, and Josh, they arrived at the Kremlin, and we got the standard statement from Ushakov. I would say it's become pretty much a standard statement. The talks were substantive, extremely candid. Instead of just candid or frank, we got Ushakov saying that the talks were extremely candid. Witkoff, before he arrived to Moscow, he said that we're pretty much 90% there when it comes to some sort of a deal. He's been saying that for the past three months or so. 90% there. There's one big issue that needs to be resolved. Everyone knows what Witkoff is talking about. That's the issue of the Donbass and the territory issue. Ushakov, he said that what needs to happen, and he said this before in previous meetings, what needs to happen is that the United States and Russia, they need to go back to what was agreed on in Anchorage, in Alaska. And yeah, the territory issue is a big issue. And unless both sides go back to Anchorage, go back to Alaska, according to Ushakov, it's going to be extremely difficult to resolve the conflict. But at least Josh was there. We got a new guy. A couple of meetings ago, Kushner was introduced into the mix. About the third or fourth meeting, Jared Kushner started to go with Witkoff to Moscow. Now we have Josh in Moscow. He showed up. Josh Grunbaum, who is the commissioner of the Federal Acquisition Service for the Trump administration. What does he have to do with any of this? Well, no one really knows, but perhaps the fact that he is also a special advisor to the Peace Council in Gaza, the Board of Peace. He's a special advisor to the Board of Peace. Perhaps that gives us some insight as to what he was doing in Moscow, because the reports claim that not only did both sides talk about Project Ukraine, but they also spent quite a significant amount of time discussing the Board of Peace. They talked about Greenland. They also discussed economic cooperation as well. So it wasn't only about Project Ukraine. The meeting lasted about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. That's how long these talks lasted. It feels like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day, right? Groundhog Day. It's the same meeting. You wake up and it's the same meeting over and over and over again, right? The same meeting. Witkoff, late at night, to the Kremlin to meet with Putin for 5 hours. Every now and then it changes. Sometimes you have Kushner there. Kushner's introduced into these meetings. Now you have this Josh guy who's introduced into these meetings. But it's Groundhog's Day. The same meeting is just replaying over and over again, with both sides pretty much saying the same thing. So we are going to get today a trilateral meeting taking place in Abu Dhabi. That's going to involve the head of Russia's military intel, the GRU, not to be confused with GNR. Sweet child of mine, welcome to the jungle. It's going to be the military intel chief. He's going to be there representing Russia. I'm not sure who else is going to be representing Russia in Abu Dhabi. These are trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States. Ukraine is just a cover, if you want my take on things. It's really about Russia and the United States. They're going to talk about security issues. Representing Ukraine, you're going to have Budanov there and Umerov. I'm not sure who's going to be representing the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone from the CIA. You're also going to have in Abu Dhabi talks about U.S.-Russia economic issues. That's going to be with Witkoff, Kushner, and I don't think we have any information as to who's going to be representing Russia at these economic talks. But the security talks between the Russian intel chief, the U.S. and Budanov, those are about the attacks into Novgorod, into Valdai, the drone attacks trying to assassinate Russian President Putin. We recorded a video on the Duran, and Alexander made the point that it seems as if a lot of this meeting that has taken place in the Kremlin and what you're going to have take place in Abu Dhabi is a lot to do with the failed attempt to take out Putin and the Trump administration looking to smooth things over. So that's why you have these security talks being organized in Abu Dhabi. It seems these are being organized at the initiative of the United States, and basically what the Trump administration wants to do here is they want to set some rules, put some rules in place about going after the leadership. Going after Putin pretty much is what they want to discuss, right? No hard feelings, President Putin. It was just business, nothing personal. Right. And if you go by Ushakov's statement where he says extremely candid, the talks were extremely frank and extremely candid, I wouldn't be surprised if Putin let them have it. Let Witkoff and Kushner know that he is furious, very upset with what they tried to pull in Valdai and going after his residence with the drones. So you have Budanov, who's going to be in Abu Dhabi. He's the U.S. CIA guy, but he's mostly cover for the real security discussions that are going to take place between the United States and Russia. Basically, the United States telling Russia, okay, we'll put some rules in place, and next time there's a phone call between Trump and Putin, we won't go after Putin with 80 drones. Is that cool? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, let's put those rules in place. We trust you, USA. Crazy stuff. Crazy freaking stuff. So another thing that they pitched to Putin at this meeting in the Kremlin, which got shot down pretty much right away, was an energy truce. So the Trump administration, they thought they would convince Russia to stop going after Ukraine's energy infrastructure, which is on the verge of collapse. And in return, Ukraine would stop going after the attacks on Russia's oil refineries, their gas and oil facilities, which is doing minimal to very, very minimal damage on Russia's oil infrastructure and ability to produce and export oil and natural gas. If you look at the numbers, the export of oil and gas from Russia from 2025 pretty much matches what they were able to produce in 2024, even with all of these pinprick attacks on their oil and energy facilities by Ukraine. Of course, it's all being orchestrated and managed by the United States and NATO. It's done very little to zero real damage to Russia's ability to produce and export oil. When you look at the numbers, there's pretty much no difference in what Russia has produced and exported. So basically, it's a deal that Russia makes a huge concession because they have the Ukraine energy facilities pretty much finito. A couple of more strikes and Ukraine is in a big freaking mess. They're already in a big mess, but a couple of more strikes and then it's game over for Ukraine's energy architecture. And in return, Ukraine and the United States pretty much give nothing to Russia. So obviously, Russia was not fooled by any of this. I guess the Trump administration said, let's give it a try. Russia wasn't going to bite, and they shot this down right away. They said there's going to be no ceasefire of any kind, no pause of any kind. Ukraine and the U.S. would have liked the pause so they could try to rebuild the damage that has been done to the energy system in Ukraine, but they're not going to get that. So that was the meeting in the Kremlin. We'll find out what happens in Abu Dhabi. Zelensky even said, as he was in Davos, that we're one issue away. One issue needs to be resolved, and one issue away from getting to some sort of deal. And he said it's all about Donbass. That's what Zelensky said. What Witkoff said is, if both sides want to solve this, we're going to get it solved. I think we've made a lot of progress, he said. I think we've got it down to one issue, and we have discussed iterations of that issue, and that means it's solvable. I don't think anything's gonna get solved. Well, militarily. Diplomatically, it's not going to get solved. Militarily is how this thing's going to get solved. But we'll see what comes out of the meeting in Abu Dhabi. It is the first time that Russia, Ukraine, and the United States are meeting since, if I'm not mistaken, since 2022, right? After those meetings in March and April, where there was an agreement. Well, it was Russia and Ukraine. I don't know, was the U.S. involved? I don't think the U.S. was was involved in those meetings, Russia and Ukraine, and then Boris Johnson flew in and spoiled that agreement. So that's the meeting in that's the meeting at the Kremlin. That's the meeting in Abu Dhabi. How about we talk about the meeting in Davos and Zelensky? He made his triumphant return to Switzerland, to Davos. He did not want to go. Trump told him to get his butt to Switzerland. The Europeans told Zelensky, come on, you have to come to Switzerland. Trump wants you there. We want you here. Zelensky, he wanted to go to Switzerland on the condition that Trump was going to sign a security guarantee and sign an agreement for $800 billion in investment into Ukraine. He got neither of those. He did meet with Trump for 1 hour, but Trump did not sign anything. He did not sign a security guarantee. He did not sign an investment in a 10-year, $800 billion investment. And Zelensky was super upset. The Green Goblin was mad. And if there's one thing that all of us has learned, it's to not make the Green Goblin upset. He was angry. And so he took out all of his anger and all of his frustration on the Europeans during his speech at Davos. Boy, did he lay into Europe during his speech at Davos. He basically called the Europeans worthless, weak, incompetent, losers. They've given me nothing. They do nothing. They don't have any backbone. They're not committed to supporting Ukraine. I mean, he laid into the Europeans big time. He wasn't so nice to the United States, but he wasn't so harsh to the United States either. He had some complaints with the U.S. and the U.S. support, but he was also smart enough not to go too hard against the United States and Trump. He did compliment Trump, saying that at least the United States, the Europeans are weak and worthless, but at least Trump is strong, right? He's strong and peace through strength, and he said stuff like that. So he didn't rail too hard against the United States. He did compliment Trump, but boy, oh boy, did he lay into the Europeans. And what was the Europeans' reaction to Zelensky's tirade against them? What was the European reaction? A standing ovation. That's right. Oh, Zelensky. Tell us more. Tell us more, Zelensky. How bad are we? How terrible are we? More. What a dysfunctional relationship. Oh, boy. Yeah, they gave him a standing ovation. Unbelievable. Europe is lost. They are completely lost. Zelensky also talked about regime change in Iran. The Iranian foreign minister did not like that. He did not like the part of Zelensky's speech where Zelensky is talking about the need to regime change Iran. What does Ukraine have to do with regime change in Iran? Nothing, really. Zelensky is still bitter and mad about the drones, the drone technology from Iran that happened in 2022. And he's still bitter and upset about all of that. But the Iranian foreign minister shot back at Zelensky, and he basically called Zelensky a grifter. He called him a grifter. And then he said that the Iranian military, they can handle things on their own. They don't need the entire collective West to do the fighting for them. Ouch. Ouch. That's what the Iranian foreign minister said in response to Zelensky's call for regime change in Iran at Davos. And then Zelensky also Also started a fight, or continued a fight, with Orban. He said that Orban needs to get smacked for his lack of support for Ukraine, because he's not supporting Ukraine, and he is not allowing money to go to Ukraine, or he keeps on vetoing all the money and support from the EU to go to Ukraine. He's very upset with Orban. And he basically said that Orban needs to be smacked. That is what Zelensky said. Yeah. So Orban, he fired back at Zelensky on X. He said, it seems to me, he addresses Zelensky, dear President Zelensky, it seems to me that we will not be able to come to an understanding. I am a free man who serves the Hungarian people. You are a man in a desperate position who for the fourth year now has been unable or unwilling to bring a war to an end, despite the fact that the President of the United States has provided every possible assistance to do so. Therefore, no matter how much you flatter me, we cannot support your war efforts. The Ukrainian people, of course, despite your carefully chosen insults, can still count on us to continue supplying your country with electricity and fuel, and we will also continue to support refugees arriving from Ukraine. Life itself will settle the rest, and everyone will get what they deserve. That last line is brutal. Life itself will settle the rest, addressed to Zelensky, and everyone will get what they deserve. And he signs it off with Victor. That's how he ends the post. Trump met with Budanov in Davos as well. Budanov actually suited up. So Trump did meet with Budanov before Budanov headed over to Abu Dhabi. What does that tell you? I think Alexander is 100% right. The meeting that took place in the Kremlin and the meeting that is taking place in Abu Dhabi, this security meeting, is all about Valdai, and Trump is trying to make amends for the drone attack into Valdai, or maybe he's trying to sucker Russia into letting down their guard, so the CIA can get another crack at what they tried to do in Valdai. Who knows? But Russia needs to be aware of the trickery of the Trump administration. So Zelensky also talked about the Russian casualties and the Russian economy. He said the Russian economy is tired, ready to collapse. Tired is the word that he used, not tatters, like Ursula. He said tired. And then he said, I'm sharing real figures with you. And he started to talk about the KIAs, the Russian KIAs in the conflict. And you know that when a politician or someone like Zelensky, a comedian actor turned politician like Zelensky, when they start off their statement with, I'm going to share the real figures with you, or I'm going to tell you the real truth or the real facts, you know that they're about to tell one big whopper of a lie. And Zelensky said that the real statistics for Russian casualties is 35,000 killed per month, 35,000 soldiers. Last year, this month, it was about 14,000. Russia is not thinking about it, but we do. We know that they mobilize 43,000 per month and that they begin to lose 35,000. From this 43, you have to know that about 10 to 15% run away, and there are some wounded. Their army has stopped increasing. This is our important because of our drone operators and drone technology. Yeah, basically he's just parroting Keith Kellogg talking points. If these numbers were anywhere close to the levels that Zelensky was throwing out there in Davos, then Russia would have tapped out of this conflict a long time ago, and Russia would not have the huge levels of volunteers into the military either if these numbers were anywhere close to what Zelensky was saying. But look, he has to sell the conflict to the Davos globalist elite. Things are not as bad as they appear. Yeah, we're pretty much in a continuous blackout. Our energy system is completely collapsed. We're losing terribly on the front lines. Russia's advancing everywhere, but But things are not that bad. Give it another couple of more months. Continue to give us money and weapons, and the Europeans will find a way to continue to give money. I'm not so sure about weapons. The U.S. will take care of the weapons part, but at least whatever the United States can do. But continue to support us for a couple of more months, and then Russia will be defeated. Echoing what Keith Kellogg said yesterday. 2 more months, and come springtime, according to Kellogg, the Russian military will be at a disadvantage and will be defeated. Game over for the Russian military come springtime, according to Keith Kellogg. But that was the Green Goblin in Davos, a very bitter, angry Zelensky. You don't want to make Zelensky angry. I'm very, very angry, Podolyak. Very, very angry. Mr. President, calm down, calm down. Don't be so upset. Don't be so angry. Don't look back in anger, Mr. President. You're right, Podolyak. I will not look back in anger. You're my wonder wall, Podolyak. So the Board of Peace. They discussed the Board of Peace at the meeting in the Kremlin with Josh. Josh discussing the Board of Peace with Russian President Putin, and Trump was asked about Putin's participation in Trump's Board of Peace. By the way, have you seen the logo for the Board of Peace? It's the United States. The United States. The logo for the Board of Peace is just a map of the United States. Okay, yeah. And Trump was asked about the $1 billion contribution from Putin, and Trump is cool with that. He's very happy that Russia's going to be part of the Board of Peace. But then a reporter asked or told Trump that the $1 billion is going to be coming out of Russia's frozen assets in the United States, not the Euroclear frozen assets, but the roughly $5 billion frozen assets that the United States has. And Trump said, really? Where'd you hear that? And the reporter said, Putin said it. And Trump said, oh, well, that's all right. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Trump said, if he's using his money, I think that's fine. He's going to join the Board of Peace, and he's going to make a contribution of $1 billion. If he's using his money, that's great. So that was Trump's response to Putin, saying that the $1 billion fee to join the Board of Peace, you can take it out of our frozen assets in the United States. Trump did take back the invite to Canada and to Carney. Yeah, Trump was very upset with Carney's speech in Davos. As I imagine, much of the globalist elite class were very upset with Carney because Carney gave the game away. Right? He gave the game away. The whole international rules-based order thing, Carney said, it was all pretend. It was all pretend. We got you guys, didn't we? There is no international rules-based order, everybody. That's what Carney pretty much said in his speech. And then he said it's time to make up new rules. We need new rules because the other make-believe pretend rules, that's over now. That's over. So everyone is upset with Carney. And Trump was upset with Carney. He saw it as an insult to himself and the United States. That admission about the international rules-based order and everything he said during his speech. And so, plus his trip to Beijing. I'm sure that Trump did not like that as well. And so Trump is taking back the invite to Canada to join the Board of Peace. He posted on Truth Social, "Dear Prime Minister Carney, please let this letter serve to represent that the Board of Peace is withdrawing its invitation to you regarding Canada's joining what will be the most prestigious board of leaders ever assembled at any time. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So to everyone that is watching from Canada, please do not be sad or disheartened at. Oh, check it out. That's a fish. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. So do not be sad or disheartened at having the invitation to the Board of Peace canceled by U.S. President Trump. Think of it as a blessing in disguise. You get to save $1 billion. Think of it that way. You do not have to spend $1 billion to be part of Trump's Board of Peace. Of course, on the flip side, if Zelensky finds out that Canada's not going to be spending $1 billion to be part of Trump's Board of Peace, Zelensky might come knocking on Carney's door and demand that the $1 billion be given to him. And if Zelensky does do that, I believe that Carney will fold and will divert the $1 billion meant for the Board of Peace into Zelensky's pockets. So yeah, Zelensky could be knocking on Carney's door. Mr. Prime Minister, I hear that you're not going to be spending $1 billion on Trump's peace board. You give me this money, okay? okay, Mr. President, here's $1 billion. Take two. Take $2 billion. You're Churchill. Take two. Oh, what else? Macron, he decided to seize a tanker that was leaving Russia. It was leaving a Russian port, and I believe he seized it somewhere in the Mediterranean. Yeah. French Navy stops oil tanker from Russia in the Mediterranean. Macron posted on X this morning, the French Navy boarded an oil tanker coming from Russia subject to international sanctions and suspected of flying a false flag. The operation was conducted on the high seas in the Mediterranean with the support of several of our allies. So that's Macron following his embarrassing appearance at Davos with the sunglasses. He had to take out his anger on someone, right? He had to show that he is indeed a tough guy. He is a tough guy. So what does he do? He decides to seize a tanker. The tanker was not, my understanding of it, it was not flying a Russian flag. I'm not sure what flag it was under, but it was leaving Russia, but not under a Russian flag. So I don't think it had any type of escort or any type of protection from Russia. So Macron decided to take advantage of that and seize the tanker and play it tough. You see, I seized a tanker leaving Russia. I can stick it to Putin. I'm tough. Tough Emmanuel Macron. You guys were making fun of me with my sunglasses at Davos, but I'm a tough guy. You see, I'm a tough guy. I'm Top Gun, Terminator, Maverick, Macron. So yeah, that's Macron there, seizing tankers now. What's going to be Russia's response? I don't think anything, because this tanker was not under a Russian flag, so I don't think they're going to do anything with regards to this incident. Callas has announced that the first 10 million euros has gone into her special tribunal to prosecute Russian leaders for the conflict in Ukraine. Callas posted on X, today the EU provided the first 10 million euros for a new special tribunal to prosecute Russian leaders for their role in Moscow's war against Ukraine. Russia's leaders are responsible for this war and they must be held accountable. There can be no impunity. So in the post on X, you can see that Callas is reading something on her computer. What could she be reading on her computer? What could she be watching on her computer? You think she's studying some very important documents or some very important policy papers? Perhaps she's strategizing her next move to defeat Putin and defeat Russia? Or is she watching a cartoon? I think she's watching a cartoon, Mr. Beast on YouTube or something like that. Maybe she's watching a video of Zelensky playing the piano. How does he do it? How is he playing the piano without his hands? I don't get it. I don't understand. Oh man. Yeah, she's very serious here in the photo, huh? She must be reading some sort of strategy document. Kaya Kallas. So as everything is going down in Davos, right, you still have the U.S. military moving assets to the Middle East. And we have the Abraham Lincoln now is, according to the latest reports, has entered the Arabian Sea. So it is getting very, very close to a position where you could have the Trump administration launching an attack against Iran. So all of this is happening as you have the distraction of Greenland, as you have the distraction of Davos. The U.S. military is still moving forward. At least that's how it looks, with some sort of a military operation against Iran. And one more news topic, and we'll get to our clown world. The Trump White House, effective today, they have exited the WHO. This fulfills President Trump's commitment under an executive order signed 1 year ago, following the WHO's mishandling of the coup and its ongoing lack of reform, accountability, and transparency. So the United States is exiting the WHO. According to Bloomberg, it leaves with an unpaid tab of about $260 million. Trump also posted on Truth Social, record numbers all over the place. Should I try for a fourth term? A fourth term. Obviously, Trump is saying that he was president in 2016. He should have been president in 2020, and he's now president for the next 3 remaining years. So that would make it, in 2028, it could make it his fourth term, according to Trump. So Clown World, we have a photo of Pahlavi and Machado. A photo of the exiled, not the fake, that was my mistake, the exiled Prince of Iran, who has not been in Iran since 1978, but the exiled Prince of Iran, and the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Machado. And according to their meeting, to the information on their meeting, they are strategizing ways to help one another, to help get Machado in power in Iran and to help Pahlavi get power in Machado in Venezuela, and to help Pahlavi get power in Iran. Or who knows, maybe Machado in Iran and maybe Reza Pahlavi in Venezuela. It doesn't matter. A puppet is a puppet. It doesn't matter if you place them in Venezuela or Iran. Just put them anywhere and everything is going to be all right, according to the regime change handbook. What else? We have Der Spiegel, which published their magazine cover with the European leaders dressed in war Viking gear, and I believe the title says that they stopped Donald Trump in his pursuit to invade Europe or to take a part of Europe, in reference to Greenland, of which Trump, if you go by the deal that he has negotiated with Rutte, he has been given parts of Greenland, but Denmark is not very happy about that. So we'll see where that goes. But according to their Spiegel, Merz, BlackRock Merz, Ursula, Fredrickson, Macron, and Meloni, they're carrying their swords and they're dressed up in their war gear, and they really stuck it to Trump. The fantasy, the delusion of the European elite. It's quite something, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Merz, Ursula, Fredrickson, Macron, Meloni. the protectors of Europe. Protecting Europe against the Donald, according to Spiegel. Oh boy, all right. That is the video. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, 26% off everything, and like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. I forgot to say it again. I'm not on my A game today. All right, I will see everyone tomorrow. Take care.